Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tranquility Mental Health Institute. I'm Tonya Hernandez, your director. And as you know, Tranquility Mental Health Institute's very first priority is to ensure the safety and well-being of our clients and our staff. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, our mental health facilities have become a soft target for terrorism and other events that can occur. So what I want to do today is present a plan that I want our team to kind of look at the end of this. We're going to actually develop what that plan will actually look like. Today, I'm setting out the outline of that to address the potential impact of local terrorism events on our organization and what steps can we take to mitigate, respond, and recover from such events. So I want to start off today by saying good morning and welcome members of our management team. I really want to discuss the need to develop this plan for Tranquility Mental Health Institute so that we can respond to a potential terrorist event in our local area. Hopefully, such an event never occurs, but it is very important that we are prepared and that we have protocols in place so that we can best protect our clients and our staff from such an event. So again, I want to present this outline of a comprehensive plan that once developed, we're going to be able to address our organizational goals and safety protocols for terrorism, develop our proposed plan, figure out how we're going to do our different partnerships, ensure that we are prepared for this, ensure the safety of our staff and clients, mitigation, how are we going to mitigate through this and recover, and then our response to this. And then at the end, we'll have questions and kind of break up for discussion so that way, as a management team, we can best develop the appropriate course of action for our organization. So our organizational goals that are associated with safety and protocols for this terrorism are things that include, we want to make sure that we're establishing a comprehensive emergency response plan. We want to provide regular training and education to our staff on emergency preparedness. It does us no good if we prepare this amazing plan, but we don't actually train our staff on how to do that and then test them on their preparedness to see whether or not they're ready to do this or not. Also, the testing will help us to figure out holes in our plan so that then we can come back together and kind of fix and patch those things. We also want to make sure that we're establishing really solid partnerships with our local law enforcement and our emergency management agencies. We want to provide personal protective equipment and screening protocols for our staff and clients. So we need to identify what type of personal protective equipment might we need, what type of screenings and protocols might we need. We want to work on mitigating risks and our vulnerabilities at our facilities. We really want to look at what do we need to kind of change or update here to help make us a little bit safer. And then we want to make sure that we're providing support and resources for our clients and for our staff in the aftermath of a terrorist event. So in our planning, we're going to look at four particular things. First, we must begin with this whole planning phase. And it's important to assess the potential risks and vulnerabilities of our organization, and then to identify the potential impacts of a terrorist event. In doing so, we'll be able to develop a comprehensive emergency management plan that outlines the procedures for ensuring the safety of our staff and our clients. We want to be able to communicate effectively with our stakeholders. We want to be able to manage the aftermath of an event. So as we're developing this plan, we want to make sure that we review it often, that we update it regularly, and that we really ensure that it is in fact effective. So the plan should include these specific steps that we have to make sure that we're taking in the event of an emergency. And those steps are going to include, we want to make sure that we know our evacuation procedures. We want to make sure that we have clear communication protocols so that we're able to communicate to everyone that needs to have that. We also need to understand, what do our shelter-in-place measures look like if that's something that we have to do? And if we have to evacuate, how do we actually do that? And more importantly, we really want to look in our planning phase at identifying our potential risks and our vulnerabilities that we may have, so that way we can actually take the steps to identify those and hopefully eliminate them. Now, partnerships are essential in preparing for a terrorist event. So we should develop relationships with local emergency responders, such as police, fire, and EMS personnel, to ensure that they are understanding our organizational needs and that they're able to assist us during that emergency. Additionally, we can partner with other local organizations so that we can share our resources and our knowledge. So when we break up later today into our smaller groups, we really want to identify who are those organizations? Who is it that we may need to actually partner with? Um, we also want to participate in local emergency preparedness exercises. So we need to identify what are those exercises in our area and how do we start being a part of those. We also really need to look at our faith-based organizations as they play a key role during an event like this. So how do we partner with them? How do we best help to support our staff and our clients? Now, preparedness is key to our organizational safety. So, we need to ensure that all staff members are trained in emergency response procedures and receive regular refresher courses. This isn't a train you one time and then forget about it, right? We want to make sure that they really know what to do and that we're training this over and over again for them so that they're understanding and so that we're understanding any gaps or holes in our plan and we can update them before a natural disaster or a terrorist attack happens. So we should also identify protocols for our clients' safety during the emergency, again, such as our evacuation procedures and our emergency communication plans. What are those? We also need to ensure that our staff is prepared to respond to that emergency. So we need to ensure that we provide regular training and education on this emergency preparedness. We want to include procedures for evacuation, shelter in place, and communication protocols. Very important. We also want to establish a system for regular drills and exercises so that way we make sure that we are prepared. Okay. So, in the event of a terrorist incident, our primary goal is to ensure the safety of our clients and our staff. So, that's like our primary thing we want to make sure that we're doing. So, to do this, we need to establish protocols to make sure that we are ensure that we have the accountability of all of our staff and clients. We need to be able to know who's where, who's not on campus, who is on campus, are all clients and staff accounted for. We need to have established really good protocols for safely evacuating or for sheltering in place. We should also establish procedures that have to do with personal protective equipment. So we need to provide PPE free of charge to our staff and to our clients. So we need to make sure that we have updated protocols as needed and that we make sure that we have enough PPE on hand and that it hasn't, gone outdated. We should also provide ways for establishing protocols for screening. So this could be screening for like a pathogen or an infectious disease, but it could also be screening of, the terrorists coming into, our organization, right? How are we going to make sure that the people that are on campus are actually the ones that need to be here? So we want to make sure that we're determining the purpose of our screening, and then we want to make sure that we're clearly communicating the screening protocols to our staff and that they understand what it is we're doing and why. So next, we're going to move on to mitigation in our plan. And our recovery phase. And these are critical phases following a terrorist event. So we need to have plans in place for managing the immediate aftermath and the shock of the event. To mitigate the potential impact of a terrorist event, we'll need to take steps to reduce our risks and our vulnerabilities inside of our facilities. And we don't know what those are until we actually kind of do a needs assessment and figure out what are those risks and vulnerabilities. We will need to figure out ways that we can increase our security to make sure that we are safe. We want to maybe have restricted access to certain areas and improve communication systems, including our phone systems, computers, and other technology. Are we where we need to be when it comes to these type of things? Or is this something that we actually need to work on? So the other thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we are providing mental health support to affected clients and to our staff. So if there's a terrorist attack, we may not be able to provide the mental health services, even though we are a mental health facility. So we need to make sure that we have collaborations and partnerships with others who can, or we may have to find a way to provide telehealth services or even an alternate location if that's something that's necessary. So in the aftermath of a terrorist event, we will provide support and resources to our clients and to our staffs to assist in their recovery. This may include counseling services, access to mental health services. It may include helping them with health resources, assisting with navigating insurance and legal issues. So some of our people may not be able to, they may not have access to these things. And so we want to make sure, especially if we have to refer them someplace else, that their insurance or their legal issues, that they're not having to, foot necessarily the bill for that. Overall, recovering from a terrorist event is a complex process, but together we've got this. It's going to require a multifaceted approach. We need to provide immediate crisis support, creating a safety environment, communicating effectively, offering support groups, providing training and education, and engaging in the community outreach staff and clients that can bring the process of healing and recovery. This is why it's so important that we really work hard on developing a good crisis management plan now, so that when we're there and our response is there, we know the steps that we have to take in the event of an emergency. So the first step that we would do is we would activate our emergency response plan. We want to make sure that we have an established chain of command inside of our plan. So if I'm not here, who's going to take the next step? Or if that person is not here or they get injured during the plan, who is going to go from there? We need to make sure that we establish clear communication protocols. How are we communicating to our staff, to our clients, to people outside of our organization? How are we working closely with law enforcement and then our emergency management agencies? So we want to make sure that we have all of these steps in place so that our response is quick and we know exactly what it is that we're supposed to be doing. So in conclusion, I believe that the plan outlined provides a comprehensive framework for our organization to begin to develop their response to a potential terrorist event in our local area. By taking this proactive approach to planning, we can ensure preparedness and partnership building. We can ensure the safety of our clients and staff, and we can minimize the potential impact of such an event. I want to thank you all for your attention to this very important matter. I'm happy to answer any questions, and then we're going to go ahead and break up into our smaller groups and start taking sections of this to develop it so that we can review it all later.